Hey guys, welcome back. And the number one thing we always want to know, how do I become a Marine Raider? One, what people typically do is they will train really, really freaking hard and really ignore what selection is about. Like, as long as I'm physically fit, then I can do the job. And you could not be further from the truth. Time after time after time, every course, every selection, whether it was Recon Indoctrination Platoon, whether it was BRC or ARS, whether it was a selection, ANS, assessment and selection for MARSOC, or any other school where it was difficult. The most in-shape guy, the high school quarterback, the guy that was just a phenom, was always the first to quit. Now, I'm not saying there's outliers, but generally, and my friends in the SEAL teams, my friends in Special Forces that are Green Berets, Rangers, guys, I've got friends in every Special Operations Command across the board over the years, and there's one consistent, and it's always that. It's always the super fit, super guy that always crumbles first. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we have to actually prepare for something that's more than just physical fitness. Do you need to do that? Yes. But being physically fit is not what the actual job is looking for all the time. That is just the foundation that everything else has to be built from. All right, so real quick, what MARSOC is. MARSOC sits, Marine Special Operations Command is a component of Special Operations. I've made this video a bunch. I've got 3-point-something million views on the first one that I did, talking about the difference between MARSOC and Recon. You can go look that up. That was years ago. But MARSOC sits with SOCOM, all right? And just like Naval Special Warfare for the SEALs, Green Berets, AFSOC, etc., it all sits under SOCOM. It's kind of an interesting relationship. So MARSOC is a part of SOCOM, but then we still answer to the big Marine Corps on the side as well, which, interesting enough, there's actually talk about creating a special operations branch to where the regular military doesn't even have special operations. It would all just be one uniform service, which, big picture, probably a good idea. But sitting as a Marine Raider and, Navy, you basically lose all the little different things, which probably is a good thing in at a 30,000-foot view. But what is the mission? The mission is like, you're going to read this, the textbook mission: direct action, special reconnaissance, foreign internal defense, counterterrorism. That's what you're going to read on the papers. There's a lot more that goes into those things once you get into the command. But at the end of the day, that's the job on paper, all right? And you can look up and Google those things as you will. I'm not your fucking Google, all right? So don't message me on Instagram asking me something that you could simply just Google. Do the research yourself. Now, you want to come to me with a very specific question that I might or might not answer, feel free. Nonetheless, in 2015, we finally rebranded. We did this for a long time. The history of World War II Raiders, etc., then Recon, and then going into the future of Marine Special Operations, coming back to SOCOM, or coming back to Special Operations, and we became Marine Raiders in 2015, which was a good call. This at the end of the day, MARSOC is a very small Special Operation Forces component. It's a very, over the years, MARSOC time and time again has proven themselves in the Special Operations realm with much success. Much success. But real quick, pipeline overview. You have to go, as a Marine, you have to go through MARSOC assessment and selection, which I did as a staff NCO, because I was coming from Recon, came back to Second Force. Second Force had turned into what is now 2nd Raider Battalion. They were like, Nick, guess what? You have to go through selection again. I'm like, God dang it, how much more do I have to prove myself? But as I went through selection and I saw other former Recon Marine or other Recon Marines, 0321s, not get selected, and in my opinion, they did not need to get selected, I was sold on the selection process. It is a phenomenal product. And the guys that run that program are absolutely professionals, and they do a really, really great job. So at the end of the day, you go through assessment selection. If selected, you will get a chance to go through the individual training course, and that is what it is. That's a nut shot into itself, and enjoy it. All right. You'll make memories for life. All right. So how do we get in? What is the prerequisite? What is the pipeline? What does it look like? Well, as of right now, you have to be a E4 or E5. All right. So Marines, you have to be a Marine. So if you're not even in the Marine Corps, we don't even have this conversation. If you're watching this as a young man, you're like, I want to be a Marine Raider. First things first, you got to join the Marine Corps and you got to do your time and you got to get in there. But be intentional about your career, be intentional about your life, because you have a very small window of when you can apply to assessment selection, which you have to go reach out to a MARSOC recruiter. I'll put the link below directly to the recruiting thing for MARSOC. I suggest reaching out sooner rather than later and getting the process started, but you have a window of when you can attend assessment selection, because you don't want to reach over your time and grade. So you don't want to be over a certain time and grade, and you don't want to be over a certain rank. So you have a window of when you're going to hit that time. All right. So you're going to be an E4 or an E5. As of right now, they're not taking any E6s. Okay. As an officer, if you're an officer, you're looking at the rank of lieutenant or captain, and that's it. All right. GT scores 105 for enlisted. That is your general technical score, not your overall ASVAB score. Your general technical score has to be a 105 or above, 110 for officers, and apparently there are no more waivers, which I'm down with. Have to have an eligibility of a secret clearance. So for some of you criminals out there, good luck. And this, I'm a little torn on this, but no NJPs in the last 12 months. So at least get your NJPs out of the way earlier in your career so you can hit the 12-month mark and come over. I'm a big fan of Marines that like to get in trouble on the side. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that makes a really good Marine. I'm kidding. Don't get in trouble, or at least don't get caught. As my platoon sergeant used to tell me, your black ops are not black if everybody knows about them. So don't get compromised. That's step one of becoming a Marine Raider, is never get compromised. Medical requirements, there's a ton of medical requirements, and a lot of people get disqualified at that age or at that section. And it can be your eyesight. Your eyesight has to be, you can't be colorblind. You can't have heart problems. You can't be on ADHD medication. There's probably a lot more. You need to at least have 20/20 correctable vision. That's the big ones that get everybody right now. Your PFT, they have a thing that says your PFT can be 235. Listen, I'm going to tell you straight up. If a 235 PFT comes into selection, you're never making it. One, because you're going to take a PFT when you're at your worst. So if at your best, you're at a 235, you're probably getting a 185 when everything goes to shit, and it will. And they're going to make sure that it goes to shit. What I say about the physical fitness side is you need to have a 280 or above at your worst. You don't want the reason why you don't get selected because of physical fitness. I feel like that's just a foundational Marine thing. A 260 or higher is what's recommended, because again, they're going to take that PFT at your worst. You're going to be tired. You're not going to be slept. You're going to be broke off. And now you've got to take a PFT for score, and that's going to depend whether you continue on with selection or not. Choose your own adventure, gentlemen. But I would highly suggest you do not stepping into this arena until you've got your physical fitness stuff taken care of. All right. Then outside of that, you've got to have the pool. The pool is a great equalizer of men. If you can't swim, you're fucked, and it's never going to happen. All right. If you're one of those guys that is an aquatic rock and you sink to the bottom, you're going to have to learn how to swim, and you're going to have to learn how to tread water. If you do not, your day is over. The pool is the great equalizer. I've seen the most amazing men tap out in the pool. All right. I've been baptized by the pool. I've come back to life many times. But nonetheless, you got to be able to do a pass or fail gate at an aquatic competency. You got to be able to tread water in full utilities. You got to be able to float at a certain amount of time. You got to be able to swim. You got to be able to do an underwater crossover. You got to be able to jump off and do some things. So nonetheless, the pull needs to be a strength, and it cannot be a weakness. If it is a weak, you need to train to it. Outside of that, you're rucking. You need to be at a 15-minute mile pace with a ruck with a 45-pound rucksack dry. All right, what does that mean? Well, that means if I add water and then I drink that water and I'm below 45, well, now I'm an integrity violator and I'm going to get dropped. So you have to be able to maintain a 15-minute mile pace with a 45-pound rucksack that's dry. Now, I'll say 15-minute is the minimum. If you go 1501 and you start doing 1501, 1501, 1501, you're done. So again, that's the minimum. I'd highly suggest picking up your pace. Now, am I going to say run? No. There's a lot of people that run. Josh runs. My former teammate and business partner runs. I don't run. But again, when I ruck, I have gotten to my mile time to I think it was 11:45 at a fast walk with the required weight. All right. So it can be done. All right. You can be done, but you have to train to that. Now, again, prerequisites and pipeline, this is the foundational stuff that you need to have. But at the end of the day, they're looking at the whole picture. They're looking at who you are as an individual. What kind of problem solving can you do? Which takes me into what does assessment and selection actually look like? I'm not going to give you the secrets to selection. I think that's something that you should be able to experience yourself. But at the end of the day, this is what I want you to, like, you're going to have to physically show up. You're going to have to produce physically. You need to understand how to do land nav and land orienteering. All right. So if you come in there with zero knowledge, you're going to be hurting. All right. You need to understand orienteering and land navigation. Again, physical fitness needs to be the foundation. So like that, you need to be so physically fit that physical fitness is not even a concern. You need to be showing up with this problem solving under stress, under sleep deprivation. When you're at your worst, how do you show up? How do you work with teams? How do you solve problems? And how do you survive? That is the reality. Yes, you're going, and this is the reason why I go back to physical fitness, saying you have to be physically fit, because you don't want that to enhance your problems. You want to be able to problem solve while under physical duress, because you will have to problem solve under physical duress. So this is the reason why people start quitting. They just drop, they either get dropped or they drop out mentally, and they just mentally quit because they weren't prepared for the physical load and then the mental load on top of that. Gentlemen, I cannot stress to you enough, this is not a physical fitness test. MARSOC is not a physical fitness test. It is a human being test, and they're going to test you in every single way. So if you can't problem solve, if you can't work with other people, right? If you can't come to agreements with your team for the best possible outcome and problem solve whatever problem you're trying to solve at that moment, then you're probably not going to get selected. And this is the reality that nobody briefs you on. This is where it kind of goes into, like, kind of going back to that problem solving, is they're not going to give you the answer. They're not going to help you. You are 100% on your own. As a man, as a Marine, how do you show up? What does the job look like? And then can you rise to the occasion? What does it look like when your body starts to fail? What does it look like when you're tired? If you can do those sort of things, if you can problem solve at your worst, and you have what it takes, you'll get selected. And then you go into the real work. That is just I don't even think that's the beginning. That is the beginning of the beginning. When you actually go through ITC and you actually get the job, that's when it really starts to get hard, because now we have a lifestyle that we have to keep up. Now we have to create, we have an administrative requirement. We have a physical requirement. We have training cycles. We have deployment rhythms. We have the stress and things that I've talked about in other videos, that what it does to your bodies over the years. It's not selection that is going to break you off. It's the career that's going to break you off. And that's going to grind you and grind you and grind you into a freaking fine dust. You might be able to make selection and you might be able to make ITC, but can you make years of doing that job? Can your family make years of doing that job? And I think that's where the real test comes. If you're a father and you have kids, how are you able to do that job and then also be the father and the husband that you need to be at home? And that's the real selection, gentlemen. That is the real selection. And that's what makes this job so incredibly difficult and so incredibly rewarding, if you can do both. And a real quick note on that is, wherever you're at, be 100% there. When you're home, be 100% home. When you're at work, be 100% at work. All right. But when you get off and you're done and you go home, be that dad, be that husband, and don't take those things for granted. At the end of the day, guys, some practical recommendations: get extremely fit. If you're already in the Marine Corps and you're looking to go this route, Josh and I years ago wrote Raider Prep. So you can look up Raider Prep. You can go to my website. You can go to Amazon and grab it. Every single person who has used that has gone through selection, and I'll say this very clearly, the people that prep themselves physically, we have had 100% success for those people that have gone through on the physical side. Not one person has ever been a non-select for physical reasons that have taken the Raider Prep that Josh and I wrote. I'll leave that as it is, okay? And again, you don't want that to be. You don't want that to be the reason why you don't get selected. Again, if you're not in the Marine Corps, this is a long game, okay? You have to get in the Marine Corps first. You have to do your thing, and then you're going to take selection. Be 100% physically prepared. Be 100% mentally prepared as much as you can be anyway. Have a no-quit mentality, okay? Get your administrative stuff with the Marine Corps in-house before you start talking to them, and then reach out to a recruiter. Get the process started sooner rather than later. MARSOC has a wealth of information on their website. I suggest going to pull all of that, if you will. At the end of the day, guys, if you need help, if you have questions that are outside of Google that you cannot find yourself, again, that is your first test, right? Go figure out the information and go from there. Guys, if you've gone through all of this and you're on the other side, we have a community called the Agoge, and a lot of former veterans, a lot of former law enforcement guys. 75% are former first responders, fire service, military, etc., are in our community. So we built this thing off of Josh and I's transition, and we have a 12-month program that we run through the Agoge to help people get back on their feet and get their headspace correct, and their priorities created for their family. It's a beautiful program. So if you're on the other side of this, I highly suggest reaching out to me, looking at that 12-month program. You will benefit from it. Your family will benefit from it. And if you're just beginning your journey, well, good luck. I wish you luck. I want to see you guys succeed. Again, go check out Raider Prep, written by myself and Josh Hansberger. And good luck. We'll see you on the other side. Peace. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate that. Remember to like it. Remember to drop me a comment. I want to respond to it. I'm actually the one responding to the comments. And if you like this video, you're going to absolutely love this one right here.